Oh, I know we just literally talked to you a few hours ago, but
Yeah.
when you reflect on your whole season, just what maybe surprised you about the growth that you had?
I feel like overall I've always had the tools, but since I became a starter, it was all about just putting it all together.
Yeah.
And I feel like last night kind of showed that. And honestly, I did not expect to be here right now. I fully anticipated winning that game last night,
Yeah.
but things don't go our way, and I have all of summer to reflect on it.
Speaking of summer, I asked George about this. I know you guys kind of have like that common thread of your trainer. So just what are you hoping to kind of work with him on, especially now that you guys are both on the same team?
With George and my trainer,
I mean, both.
probably just getting our chemistry together. George is a good dude. Played a great game for us last night, and I'm just looking forward to overall in the summer learning about him and his game and how he wants to help us win.
What kind of responsibility do you feel like you took on outside of the obvious, like when they made you a starter in that New York game, kind of moving forward for the rest of the year?
I think overall being a leader, talking to the young dudes, Zach, Mo, Dyson, just trying to help them out on the court as much as possible, and overall just be a leader.
Did you ever see yourself kind of stepping into that leadership role so soon in your career?
Kinda. I have leadership tendencies, and during the game things get emotional, and that's when it really comes out for me. So the guys know it, and I just want to continue to be a stepping stone and a vet for the guys.
Speaking of that emotion, we saw you pretty emotional on the court last night after a few plays, more than usual, I think. What was kind of getting into you in those moments?
It was a winner go home game. It was do or die, and I was amped up. The crowd's amped up too. They really got me going. So kudos to them. The fans. They showed out last night, and go Atlanta. That's why I'm wearing the shirt.
That's why I said I liked it.
I was just wondering, how do you balance the expectations you have for yourself with your joy and your love for the game?
I mean, I know who I am as a player, so whenever I play with joy and I'm, having fun playing the game, the expectations is always gonna, be up there. I'm always gonna meet them, reach them. And as long as I'm having fun playing the game, you're gonna get the best out of me every time.
I know you don't want to like think too much in what ifs or hypotheticals, but when you
Yeah.
think about what you guys could have had with Jalen this season, I mean, what does that maybe prepare you for next season when he's back and healthy?
I mean, yeah, Jalen Johnson, he's averaging 20 and 10. Definitely missed him on the court. But now we just want him to be healthy, take care of his body, so that he's ready to go for a full 82 next year.
Kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit, with the exception, I guess, of Dom, when you start thinking about like traditional big type deal. How do you channel or just how do you express maybe frustration or not? What it was like to maybe be kind of being like that sole guy that was in the front court, not having Jalen or Larry or Clint or what have you.
I mean, I feel like everybody here can play. I'm never gonna knock any of my guys. Dom has been a bright spot for us. Same with Mo. I've loved Mo's progression all year. He's really come along from last year up until last night. Overall, like I said last night, if coach needed me to be the sole big out there, playing the whole game, I would have. But overall, I feel like this is a great, productive year for all the young guys, Mo, Dom. Yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to ask you your off-season plans. Will you be watching the playoffs? Will you be taking a break from basketball? Just what do you plan on doing?
I definitely will be watching the playoffs. There's a lot of good series, especially today, the Detroit Knicks game. I think it's gonna be a competitive series, and I don't know who gets that one. I'm really interested to see that series and what goes down. I think Detroit can get them. I think.
I like it.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you. So,
It's obviously tragic to see what happened. Nobody likes to see that happen, but it does happen. And I feel like Florida State did a good job of, trying to keep everybody safe as best they can with such an unexpected situation. So it was tough, but everybody's all right.
I'm sorry it happened.
Yeah, it's all right.
But when you think about the trade deadline and when you were able to come in and kind of infuse your skill set into this team, just maybe what positive takeaways do you feel like you can take away from, when you were here?
For myself individually?
Yeah.
I just think a lot, man. Defensively, bringing that fire off the bench, trying to bring as much energy as I can, being that versatile player that I think they needed and wanted. So just trying to build off that for the off season and coming next year to training camp, being able to establish that.
When you look back in 5 or 10 years at the whole process of going through this mid-season trade and trying to shift gears to a new team on the fly, what's kind of going to be your lasting memory of this whole process of switching teams?
It's a tough question. I think just my excitement for a new beginning. Being with one team for 5.5 seasons, and then going across the country almost to a different team. So I was excited about it. I was excited about the opportunity. So I think just excitement and attacking a new role on a different team. I think all the above is exciting. Some people look at getting traded as a negative, but for me it was an exciting thing.
Terance, has your approach to the offseason changed since your rookie year to now?
Yeah, 100%. The goal is always to get better, and that was my goal every year. But every year is also different role, different things that I need to work on. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
What do you plan on working on this
offseason? A lot. I'm gonna get with the coaching staff, get with player development, get with the front office, see what they want me to do, what they want me to work on. But I'm 28 and I really want to take that next step. I feel like I'm in my prime and I really want to take that next step, both offensively and defensively. So I'm really going to attack this summer. And new contract coming, so I really want to be locked in for that.
When you think about you coming from a pretty veteran-heavy team with the Clippers, and then you're coming here where there's so many young guys, how do you feel like you were able to sort of establish your leadership style and kind of help build some of those guys up?
So weird, so different for me. Normally one of the youngest guys in the locker room, and then coming here and being one of the oldest, definitely a different situation. So it took me a little while to figure it out, but I think just leading by example, being a professional every day, coming here, working every day, saying the right things, and doing the right things. And I think the young guys just caught on. I watched them grow even in that short span I was here,
Yeah.
so it was cool to see.
I think one of the guys that kind of, I don't want to say grow attached, but maybe was very happy with you being here was Mo, especially because you guys are so
Yeah.
close locker-wise. What was that like, building that relationship with him?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely one of the players I was talking about when I was thinking about that. Just watching him grow, even the short time I was here, was awesome to see. Like you said, our lockers are close, so just always having dialogue with him, always telling him, what I see, what he needs to do, what he should be doing, and he really listens, which was great to see. A lot of young guys don't listen, so he listened, and I think he put himself in a nice position to be a great player in this league for sure.
Terance, how different will your offseason look now since you're an assistant GM, and would you want to encourage any other players to kind of go out and do the same thing?
Shoot, if you have time, I'm real hands-on with my role. I don't know what the other guys are doing, but I definitely encourage all the other NBA guys to try and take on that role, because you get to engage with the alumni, which is really cool. You get to engage with the recruits, which is really cool, and then the coaching staff and the program itself. So all those three things I always wanted to do ever since I was little, almost. My mom was a college coach growing up, so I was just always around college basketball. So this is a great opportunity for me to do that, live out my dream.
How do you go about taking in the playoffs? Is that something that you'll be kind of locked in and watching?
Nah,
or?
I don't give a damn. Sorry.
Fair. No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, we like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
All right,
Terance.
thank
Thanks, Terance. What are maybe some of your positive takeaways on what you guys were able to do?
I would want to start with our, the guys that were here before me, right? I feel like it wouldn't be fair to not talk about them, right? for them to welcome, us in, me, Karis, and Terance, and obviously I'm speaking from my perspective, but to welcome us in and kind of allow us to kind of not implement our ways, but grow with them and kind of grow together. Sure, we had some ups, we had some downs, we had some great moments, some low moments, but for us to continue to grow through injury, I want to say grow through youth, but our young guys are really good, and to witness them kind of grow through some growing pains has been awesome, right? And obviously being valued after being traded is something that some people don't really find, so I'm obviously super grateful for that, but obviously super grateful for my teammates because we did get to achieve some great things. Obviously we didn't get to our end goal of winning a championship and getting into the playoffs, but success isn't linear, right? You got to fall, you got to feel these hard times, and I think the best part about failure is that you have all summer to remember that feeling, and when things get tough, persevere and push through that by remembering the feeling of failure. And I think this group is going to be a strong one moving forward. I think we have a lot of great young pieces that you can build on, and obviously injuries, you can't really control that. So moving forward, I'm excited for what this organization is looking to build moving forward.
You had Quinn earlier in your career. What did you kind of feel like you got out of the experience of having him as your coach this time around?
Yeah, I mean, have you ever moved away and came back and reunited with your best friend? I mean, that's an exaggeration for a coaching. Obviously there's he's like my boss, right? But coming back around, there's you kind of smile when you're in practice and you hear familiar lingo or plays that you saw in Utah, and I think coming back and playing for him has just been a awesome experience, right? Someone that knows you, knows your game, knows your intentions, where you can kind of just fall into a groove of being yourself, right? And I think you guys have seen that, whether if I was yelling at someone on my team, someone on the other team, at the refs, the passion that I play with, it allowed me to get to that point quickly. But I think this situation is kind of unique, right? When I first got to Utah, we were under 500 and kind of were building to a young team. Gordon Hayward had just left the Jazz, and I kind of look at this as not a similar situation, but you're kind of putting your pillars and your foundation into a place that you can build a culture that has longevity, right? And I think that's always been on the forefront of Quinn's mind, and he's done a tremendous job of starting that here, and I'm excited to continue to grow and be a part of that and work through. Obviously this is a tough time. Not making the playoffs isn't a good feeling, but I think I'm excited, or I know I'm excited to work with everybody and continue to build that foundation so that we do have a strong structure moving forward.
You mentioned continuing to build for this team and this organization. What's the next step for that going into next year?
They might have to pay me a lot more money to give you answers on that one. But I think for what you have, right, from what I know, right, from a player's perspective is you have to continue to get better, right? We have great young pieces, so their growth is extremely important, right? Whether that's us getting together in the summers or constant communication or them going away. And I don't know what guys play for what. I know Dyson is Australian. Zach is French, clearly. But that aspect of, I think you get better at basketball by playing basketball, but constantly being a cohesive, connective group. I think, just because the season ends doesn't mean we all break communication. We actually have iPhones and can FaceTime each other. That communication is always important in trying to come to get together. And I think, the mesh with the older guys that we have, you continue to have growth over the summer, and that's done by getting together, communicating. Obviously, then when August, September comes around, you kind of migrate back to your home state or Atlanta for all of us. And it's going to be done together. And I know that because I've been with Quinn before, and he does a great job of kind of getting a group to come together to build for a bigger goal. And I think with that goal and vision for us, I think it starts with, getting this group together as much as we can. I've only been here since February, and I think we've made some strides. Obviously, this is a business, and you almost wish like I had more time to kind of do that. But I think for us, it's getting a little bit better every single day, and starting with those young guys and having competitive environments, whether that's in the summer, playing against each other, or preseason, or August and September where you're playing pickup, and you have these competitive environments where I don't want to say it may get nasty, but this is a game, and we're men, and I think you got to continue to bring those competitive edges out of each other, because that's where growth really comes from.
You mentioned the kind of getting together and staying connected. You and Onyeka have sort of a mutual kind of line with that. Just what are you maybe hoping to work with him on this summer, especially from what he was able to show,
Yeah, I'm sick of seeing him, all right? So I don't know how much I'll see him. No, me and Onyeka have been close before, I got to Atlanta, right? I've been able to be out in LA and work out in the summer, and we kind of work out with the same person. So I'm going to see a lot of him, and I do not worry about getting too competitive with him. I think we both do a good job of telling each other about each self or ourselves. I'm excited to see his growth, because you look at where the season started for him and where he ended up, and he's just scratching the surface, right? I tell him that. I'm like, it's amazing how good you are, because, you're just doing this off raw talent, right? When you connect all the pieces together, it's going to be extremely impressive what you can do. So, he's one individual that I'm sure I'll be seeing a lot of, and I'm excited to see the growth of where he takes off too.
George, will you be watching the playoffs and maybe looking at your former team, or are you going to take a little break from basketball?
Who told you to ask that question? I'm a basketball junkie, right? I'll probably take a couple of days to myself, but I think it's inevitable to not watch it. Watching them specifically, I don't know if I'm going to circle my calendar of when to watch them. I mean, obviously I have good friends over there. If I can, cropped out the screen of not watching some people and watch, I'll do it. But no, I'm going to watch the playoffs in whole. I mean, I think it's a good way to stay motivated and continue to learn and grow. I think by watching basketball, you can kind of improve and see how teams are doing things, so when we get there, we'll be prepared.
George, being here since February, has there anything that was maybe the most surprising to you since being on the team?
Being in Atlanta in February, where I could walk out on my back porch and it was 75 and sunny, I've never had that before. Right, Steve, where we come from, you got a winter jacket on in February, right? And you're like saying WTF. So I didn't have to do. Actually, I was saying WTF, but like, wow, it's so warm. This is crazy. But no, to answer your question, I think I was surprised. Well, I shouldn't say surprised, but really pleasantly surprised at how talented the raw talent that this group has. And I think if we can continue to grow and work together and have that all, cook up at the right time, I think the sky is the limit for this team. And I think, getting here in February, like I said before, when the season ends, you're almost like, damn, I wish I would have had a little more time to continue to grow with this group, because I think, we had a lot of great things strumming up. Obviously, injuries are one thing. I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about is, like, you look back and you see JJ, and I haven't seen him in his uniform just unless it was picture day, and I'm like, don't be teasing me now. And you're in picture day, like, because that's going to be a great additional piece in the horses that we have, that were out with injury. I'm excited to see where that leads us.
When you look back,
last one, please.
When you look back at the process of sort of going through a mid-season trade for the first time in your career, if you look back on it 5-10 years, what's going to be sort of the standout memory of that whole process of switching teams?
Yeah, don't get traded. No, I think the best part is, like, you just always have to be yourself, right? And I think the biggest thing for me is, obviously the trade was a shock to me, but if you can come in and be your true self, especially as a veteran, like you have value. You've proven what you can do, and just try to bring that value and be as much of a giver as you can. I think a lot of guys get traded and they kind of internalize it and want to be like, I have to protect myself, but don't let that tarnish who you are, right? And I think that's the biggest thing for me is I came in here and kind of like, submit to the team, right? Like how can I help us get better? And it kind of was like a great scenario, right? People let me be me. They let me run around, scream, shoot threes, be aggressive. And, 5-10 years from now, I think, I'll look back at this and be like, wow, I got traded to Atlanta and it was kind of something that was, life-changing, but probably one of the better things for my career.
To be back and ready to go. Just how are you feeling now, though?
I'm feeling good. Every day I've made more and more progress, so it's all you can ask for, especially with a patient injury recovery like this. So I'm just trying to get better every day, so that's the mindset going into this off season. So yeah.
It seems like that's the mindset of overall for everybody. Just what does it feel like to have everybody on the same page, that progress and steady progress is what you guys are aiming for?
Yeah, it's exciting. You see how hungry our guys are, and I'm excited just to keep building with these guys. Obviously, this didn't go the way we wanted it to, but I think with everybody's mindset and how we've all developed our own approach to the game, just individually and wanting to get better, I think that's only going to benefit us going forward. We got young guys at work and a coaching staff that wants everybody to get better. So when you got those two things mixed together, it's like only good things can come from that.
Last few months we got to see Onyeka starting and kind of growing into that role. What have you seen sort of watching him? You had some time just watching from even like the bench. When you watch him, what have you seen from his game as he's grown these last couple months?
I mean, he's just someone who's constantly gotten better as well. O's someone everybody loves to play with. He's somebody who makes the game easier for people. And he's somebody that impacts the game in a way that we don't have nobody else like him. So yeah, O's just gonna continue to get better. And he had a great season, and I'm happy for him.
Jalen, what are your feelings when you're watching your team go and try to compete for a playoff spot and just not being able to be in the game? Just what are your thoughts and your feelings?
I'm not gonna lie, that's probably the worst feeling in the world. Just not being able to be out there and go out to war with my guys. It sucks, but it's just sometimes you can't control those things, and all I can do now is just do everything in my power for next year to play the whole season, and that's my goal, and I'm going to do everything I can so I can be out there in those type of games with my teammates.
Looking ahead, what does that kind of process look like for you this offseason, going from, continuing rehabbing to, getting strength and conditioning back to where you want it to be?
Yeah, well, I'll still be able to start doing stuff pretty soon, so it's just going to be a summer of just kind of slowly building. I'm still going to be able to work out and do everything I've done every other summer to prepare myself for the season. So I don't think it's going to be any hiccups with that, and I think I should have a pretty normal off season.
And George talked about how close everybody is on this roster, and potentially getting together this summer so that you're not missing any beats. Just how do you look forward to kind of bringing your teammates together to try and work through some of the things that maybe hurt you this year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's something new we want to do this year is get together over the summer, and we already got things planned. So I'm excited to see how that translates. I know it's going to be good because obviously right now we all get along off the court great. So to have that extra bonding time together where it's in a non-arena environment, non-practice facility environment, I think it'll be good for us to continue to know each other, continue to get to learn each other. And like I said, your teammates are everything in this league, and the strong relationship you have with them, it's only going to translate on the court.
And oftentimes when someone has kind of like a quote-unquote breakout season like you had last year, and then you try to follow that up the very next year, obviously opposing teams make changes and you're kind of like not a surprise. You know what I mean, to people. And then, but so there's a drop off sometimes, but you pick up kind of this year right where you last left off. How do you now transition into going into the following year, on next year? What is that approach like? How do you make sure that there is no drop off, if you will, and that you kind of quote unquote pick up where you last left off?
Yeah, I mean, I put in hella work, so I'm confident in the work and where it's going to take me. I don't really try to say there's going to be a drop off because I'm going through an injury rehab, but I just look to continue to get better every season in whatever way it can. It can be something small, something major, but just constantly trying to make improvement each and every day. So that's all I'm focused on.
What is the next step for you in terms of on the court, within your game, things that you kind of want to work on to say, hey, by the time next year rolls around, I had a chance this year to be able to improve on these things, but the season was kind of cut short for me. But I want to be able to follow that up with showing that I've been in the gym working on this one or two things. What are those things?
I mean, that's a lot. Obviously, as just someone, I just want to get better at everything. That's a cliche answer, but it's going to take my whole team around me, the coaching staff. We're going to sit down and discuss everything and kind of prioritize what needs to be done, how it fits in what we're doing offensively and schematically. So I think, it's just going to take for us to sit down and, just kind of figure that thing out.
Jalen, what do you feel this team needs to take that next step to be that just even better level of competitors?
I just think we got to keep being hungry. I think we got what we need. I think we just got to keep. 48 minutes is going to be our thing. We're staying in a 48-minute game, and staying consistent throughout that. I think we've shown we can compete. Obviously, when we were at full strength, we made a great playing run. So it's like we've shown the capability of competing with the best teams in the league, and I think it's just a matter of finding that consistency and finding that right gear that we all need to tap into in order to reach those type of heights.
I'm just saying.
So Mo, how would you rate the season for yourself and then personally for the team?
I think it's hard for me to rate it. I just think I got better as the team got better. I think I had, obviously starting the year with the G League, spent a couple times there, but came with the team and just tried to help the team with JJ being out, a couple other players. So I say it's hard for me to rate it, but I think I got better the longer the season was going.
Did you learn anything about yourself, going from the G League to the NBA to being a starter? Did this teach you anything about yourself, or did it reinforce anything you already knew about yourself?
I think it did reinforce it because I don't think it taught me anything I knew what I was capable of before. But I mean, starting in the NBA is pretty big, so it just showed that I can do it, and I proved myself I can do it.
Where do you feel like your game took sort of the biggest growth, or it improved the most, that you're the most proud of?
Probably knowing my spacing, like where to be on defense, on offense. I know a lot of people would say defensively, but just probably the spacing and the awareness from the court. I think that's where I took my biggest step.
What's your off-season calendar look like? What events? Where are you going to be? What things do you have planned out?
Just a lot of work. I'm gonna be around here for sure. I don't think I'm gonna travel a lot. I'm gonna be on here working for sure.
George was mentioning how close this group has gotten this year, and that you guys, and then Jalen just mentioned that you guys already have sort of plans to meet up and work. What are you looking forward to about helping your team kind of take that next step outside of, organized practices?
I mean, just go to LA, hang out with JJ for a week, work out with him, go to G's. I was just talking to LeVert, go see him in Cleveland. So just trying to build this relationship off the court, that when we're on the court, make it easier for us.
How do you feel that camaraderie has sort of changed since you got here last year and now this year with the team?
I honestly think every year been great. Like my first year, I had Bruno, Patty, the vibes was good. This year too, we got Georgie and all of them. I think every year it's been great, really.
Do you plan on watching the playoffs? I know the season just ended for you guys, but do you plan on tuning in?
I will watch DeAndre Hunter. That's about it. I will watch Hunt for sure.
Do you know if you'll play in the summer league?
I don't know yet. We gonna talk about it probably with Kyle to see, but I don't know yet.
No, I know that the NBA does a lot of stuff with like NBA Africa and everything. I mean, how do you maybe see yourself getting involved with that? Maybe not necessarily this summer, but in the future.
I definitely want to be involved. I think that's a great thing, especially they have one of the main ones in Senegal. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if y'all remember Maktar, he played for the J League, he played for the Ball now. So I got a couple friends that play there. I wanna push it forward for the next generation after me to see that's like opportunity to go play. I definitely support it.
Do you plan on picking up a camera this summer?
Oh, definitely. I'm gonna pick up a camera, probably vlog a little, take pictures, definitely for sure.
Mo, is there something that you have within your game in your bag that maybe you didn't get as much of a chance to kind of showcase this year, but that you hope maybe next year or for next season that you maybe can be able to put on display a little bit more with that opportunity?
I honestly think people don't really know who I am yet. Like, this is me. Like, just a little glimpse of Mo. And that's on me to show it, to work this summer and show y'all. But I think they ain't seen nothing yet. I think I got a lot of that.
You were joking earlier that it seems like Zach's been wearing like Birkenstocks a little bit more, and I was wondering if that was...
I definitely put him on. I definitely did. Thank you for that too.
Yeah.
I definitely did. For sure. That's all me.
Moi, une petite question sur le Sénégal. Je crois que je disais récemment que George était en train de régler des formalités pour jouer avec le Sénégal. Est-ce que tu l'encourages à jouer potentiellement avec vous, avec toi cet été à basket?
Ah, bien sûr, on l'encourage. C'est Georges. Non, il est là pendant, je pense, cette 10e année, cette saison. Bien sûr, mais c'est un peu plus compliqué que ça en fait. C'est pas juste prendre des papiers, aller jouer. Mais bien sûr, je veux que tu joues au Sénégal. Inch'Allah, il va jouer au Sénégal.
Et tu t'es décidé, toi, du coup, à titre individuel maintenant? C'est encore frais, mais est-ce que...
Je sais pas encore. C'est encore frais, comme tu dis, mais on verra, Inch'Allah.
Mo, a lot of Hawks fans who probably weren't really familiar with you coming into this year definitely have learned some things about you now that we're at the end of the season. What are some of the takeaways that you really kind of coming into this kind of hope that people, would take away from your game and just Mo Gay?
Just that I'm trying to help the team win on offense and defense, and I'm a cool guy, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you, Mo.
Thank y'all so much.
How much of a contribution and how much of an impactful player that you were at times, just maybe what stood out to you about how you were able to do that?
I feel like it was a good first season for me. I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like I was prepared. A lot of training, a lot of workouts in the off season. And I plan on doing the same thing next season.
We've talked before about how maybe you didn't expect to play as much as you did with the main franchise, but what was that experience like for you when you think of it from, the start of the off season to, playing in that last game?
Unfortunately, we had a lot of guys hurt early in the season, so that presented the opportunity. But I guess it was, more beneficial for me personally. But just having those reps and my teammates being confident enough in me, the coaching staff being confident enough in me to put me out there on the floor and kind of just create a niche for myself, and I felt like it was good.
Where do you feel like your game developed the most over the course of the season?
I would say confidence. That developed a lot, especially early when my teammates started to believe in me. The coaches, like the Boston game when Trey had went down, and they believed in me enough to start me, play me 30+ minutes in a big time game, in a cup game. So that just boosted my confidence all the way.
Keaton, what are you going to work on this summer as part of your game and just getting better at?
I think the main part will be my conditioning, making sure that I'm in shape. I feel like we lost a lot of games at the end of the game, so I feel like conditioning will help us a lot, and that's my main focus, coming back, being in shape, ready to play. I think that's a big part of my game.
When you think about some of the teammates that you've had over the course of the season, you're showing each other's games, and who were you maybe able to kind of take little pieces of their games from this year that maybe helped enhance yours?
I could take pieces from a lot of guys. Trey with his vision. I say JJ with making plays in the paint. I can say Dice with his defense. Zach with his RBC reads. Just O with backdoor cutting. Like I could go down the list. I know we got a lot more players, but I can learn a lot of stuff from a lot of different players. I got a great teammates around me. A lot of people to learn from.
I know it's just a short turnaround from last night, but do you have like off-season plans? Do you know where you want to go or where you're going to be situated?
I'll be in Houston majority of the time with my family, seeing my girl, seeing my son. So I'll be in Houston.
And I have to ask you, you're watching the playoffs, obviously. Yes.
Most def.
Yeah. And you have a rooting interest in OKC, or?
For sure. Now, hey, unfortunately, since the Hawks are down, I'm rooting for 2 times, man. My brother, Casey Wallace.
Will you be able to go out and catch some games in person?
Oh yeah, I will. I don't know which ones yet, but I'll be there.
Were you able to talk to your brother often this season?
Yeah, we got a good relationship. I talk to him all the time.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a good summer.
Appreciate y'all.
But what are the positive takeaways that you have when you think back to what you guys were able to accomplish?
I think there's we got to look at the positives, and there's a lot of players in here that made big steps today. This season. So I think that's positive, and gives us a little bit of momentum going into the next year with that experience. It was for a lot of guys. It was the first year to have a little bigger role maybe, and so I think everybody got a little better. So that's the thing that I think we can look at and be happy about.
What's the next step for V? What are some of those things that you just kind of really want to hone in on your craft and work on and come into next season and be able to say, I've been working on this and I'm about to show you?
Yeah, I think having a national team this year is going to help with getting back into the rhythm and have a little bit that getting a little bit that confidence. That's one thing that I want to work on the most, just having that confidence in me to make those next steps. And like always, it's going to be the first part of summer for me. It's going to be just taking care of my body and just get a little stronger, get a little bigger. And and then second part is going to be the national team, which I'm really excited for.
Does that include going back to Czech Republic?
Yeah. I'll be here for a while now, and then go home for the national team. We got Eurobasket, so it's gonna be like a month and a half. But yeah, it's always nice to represent Czech Republic, so I'm excited.
And so a question about the Eurobasket. What will be the goal for you this summer?
It's gonna be. We got a tough group, We got Serbia, Latvia, like a lot of good teams. So, it's always fun. Like I said before, it's always fun to play with the national team, play with the guys we played for so many years. So, I think for us, the first goal is gonna be just to make it out of groups, and then we'll see what happens next.
When you look at your season, what are you most proud of that you were able to do this year, especially with how much your role expanded?
Yeah, I think it would just be that confidence that I haven't started really well. I had some the first part of the season was personally really bad, and just to get out of it and with the injuries and just being able to get back on the court and be helpful for the team. So that's definitely something that I'm proud of. All right, thank you.
Thanks.